Welcome to another How Healthy Are You weekly educational podcast. My name is Dr. Thomas Brewer. I'm a PhD chemist. And for this week's podcast, I have two topics, both of them very good questions. One is on tinnitus, sometimes pronounced tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ears. And the other is on microwave ovens and what microwave energy really is and how it works. So starting with the first question on tinnitus. I pronounce it tinnitus, but some people pronounce it tinnitus. But it's the ringing in the ears. Most people will think it's a problem in the ears, but really it isn't. It's a problem in the brain. The brain's not getting the correct message, and because of that, it increases the frequency that it thinks it needs to generate. It's really a mistake in the brain. This increased frequency is what the ringing is. Normally you wouldn't have frequencies that high, and so it's the brain sending the wrong message because the communication has a breakdown, right? A communication breakdown within the brain. So there are many variables that cause this. I'm going to focus on two of them. One of them is something called our eustachian tubes. The other is these little hair cells on a part of our ear called the cochlea. The third is earwax buildup. I'm assuming if you've got tinnitus or tinnitus, your wax buildup has already been addressed. So you've figured out how to get excess wax out of your ears. Now, the absolute best way to deal with tinnitus is a squeeze technique. Essentially, it's acupressure, and I'm going to describe a few of them. So if you want, you may want to do this as we go along or just listen to the recording to refer back to this or take notes. So what you're going to want to do is squeeze the middle of your earlobe with your thumb and index finger. So your earlobe is going to be in the middle of your thumb and index finger. And you're going to squeeze and rub this area of your earlobe. Essentially, it's the whole earlobe for about 30 seconds. Now, what you're going to notice is a lot of warmth. This is something you'd want to do a few times each day. This is absolutely the number one best way to get rid of tinnitus. It is an acupressure technique that is far better than anything else out there. Now, there are other acupressure techniques. So this first one I just told you where you squeeze the earlobe between the thumb and index finger and rub. Part B to that is you pull quickly with your thumb and index finger on your earlobe. You pull and release, pull and release. And you would only do that a few times, say 3 to 6 times. It's just a little variation of the squeezing. It is different because you're pulling instead of squeezing and rubbing in a circular motion. Now, another acupressure technique, and by the way, acupressure is all free. This is all stuff you're doing with your hands and fingers. So what you want to do is use your thumbs and rub on your skull that is right behind the top of your ear. So you take both thumbs and place them on the skull right behind the top of your ear, and you're going to just rub that area for about 15 seconds. And the same thing's going to happen. You're going to feel some heat. So this is a different acupressure technique. They're both good, but like I said, the absolute best one is with the earlobe. Okay, now doing more work with the eustachian tubes, another good technique involves your thumbs again, and what you do is you put your thumbs inside your ear and you pull them back out. and you'll feel like a little pressure because you're putting your thumb in your ear, and if it makes a good seal, you'll get a little bit of pressure. So when you push in, open your mouth, and when you take your thumb out of your ear, you close your mouth. So you do that about 9 times. Very, very simple. And another technique that works quite well, if a person has tinnitus, I recommend they do all of these and see which one works the best. And you're going to know within a day or two which technique works good for you. Okay. Now, another technique that isn't an acupressure technique is it's more of a breathing. So you pinch your nose with your thumb and index finger. You inhale through your mouth, then you close your mouth, and you try to exhale so that your cheeks expand, your cheeks go out. Now, you don't want to do this too hard, so this is one, be very careful. So you inhale with your mouth and pinch your nose, close your mouth and try to exhale, but don't try too hard, and then your cheeks go out a little bit, and then you just open your mouth, exhale normally, and repeat. So it's something children normally do. It's kind of like what people do when they're trying to clear their ears when they're on an airplane, let's say, and the elevation goes down, the plane's landing, and so you notice this feeling in your ears. It's a way to clear your ears. I do know people that have acquired tinnitus because of an error on an airplane where they lost altitude too fast. So this is one way to clear tinnitus, and this is something you would only do about 3 times, where you're essentially trying to blow out until your cheeks expand and then open your mouth and release. So those are very good techniques. There's one more, and you would cover your ear with your palm. So this is kind of similar to putting your thumbs in your ear. You're covering your ear with your palms. You want to get a good seal, and you're going to make circles. So you're going to make circles clockwise, stop, and then make circles counterclockwise. So you do perhaps 9 circles in each direction, clockwise and counterclockwise. You will notice the sound you hear after you put your palm on your ears. Make a good seal and rotate your hands one way or the other. Each direction you'll notice a different sound in your ears. Now, some people also ask for a product that can cross the blood-brain barrier because it's very difficult to get antioxidants and even nutrients that can cross the blood-brain barrier. If this wasn't the case and it was easy to get nutritional supplements in your brain, it would also be easy for toxins to get to your brain. So you would die if you drank a Coke or had a shot of any alcohol. It would kill you if it crossed the blood-brain barrier as easily as, say, the stomach lining or the intestines. So a product that does that is in the heart algae. It's called astaxanthin. It's really the best antioxidant on the planet, but it also crosses the blood-brain barrier. So people ask me about a product. Well, that's your best product to cross the blood-brain barrier and heal the brain. Along with these simple techniques, most people cure their tinnitus. So it's really good information, something you may want to pass on to someone in your family or a friend that has this problem. Okay, moving on to microwave ovens. So most of us have heard that microwaves are bad and microwave ovens are bad and it destroys the food, and there's even these silly studies that people haven't really done. It's just been reported. I would call this another example of false news, where they'll microwave water and then try to grow a plant in the water. use that microwave water to water a plant and the plant dies. So let me dispel a lot of this stuff. And up front, sorry, Annie, you're not going to like these answers. So a microwave oven works by making the atoms in the food move faster. A conventional heat source makes a product hot. So if you put heat, whether gas or electric stove, and you put a pan on the stove and you're heating your food, the heat just transfers and your food is hot. But what's happening is when something is hot, the atoms move faster. When the atoms are moving faster, it makes something hot. So you realize that heating food, which makes the food hot, also makes the atoms move faster. But when we microwave, we make the atoms move faster, which makes the food hot. It's the same thing. In the end, the food is hot and the atoms are moving faster. The only difference is what happened first. Did we make it hot first, which makes the atoms move faster, or did we make the atoms move faster first, which makes the food hot? It's all the same in the end. Now, the next myth is how dangerous microwaves are. So everyone should know this little trick or this little bit of information. It'll make you much more knowledgeable and much lower chance of being taken advantage of when someone somewhat unscrupulous is trying to introduce scare tactics. So this is called the electromagnetic spectrum. This is just relative terms. You don't need to know the exact frequency and energy of what I'm saying. All you need to know is the order. So very high energy in the electromagnetic spectrum is X-rays. So X-rays, let's think of those as the highest energy. And we all know X-rays are bad, X-rays are dangerous, we don't want to be around them. Slightly lower energy, but still high energy, is ultraviolet light. So this is the light that gives us a sunburn. We can't see it, and we know it's dangerous. It burns us. So this is dangerous stuff. So, and when I get a little lower in energy from ultraviolet light, we have the visible light. So this is the blue and green and yellow and orange and all the different visible light, which we know doesn't hurt us because we're looking at things all the time and they are scattering and reflecting visible light. Now, lower energy than visible light is something called infrared. And these infrared devices sometimes are used in detoxes. So the energy for an infrared, like a detox system or an infrared sauna, etc., well, that's of less energy than visible light. So it's really safe. Now, if I go lower than infrared in energy, I get microwaves. Microwaves are lower in energy than both visible light and infrared. So this is very low energy. In fact, the only lower energy than microwaves that we're used to are radio waves. So microwaves are just slightly higher energy than radio waves, but still lower energy than visible light. Microwave radiation energy is very low energy. Now, I'm not sure what happened when people were in school. Most of us have learned this, but probably forgot it a long, long time ago. But this is a good little bit of information to remember, and that's just the relative energy of various sources that are around us all the time. So keep that in mind. X-rays, super high energy, UV light next, which is ultraviolet light, visible light, then infrared, and finally microwaves and radio waves. Okay, so that's what I have for this week's podcast. There should be a new special newsletter coming out tomorrow, assuming everything goes well with a special announcement on ordering products and ordering nutritional blood microscopy or any consultation session. So it's something new that should be done and all finished tomorrow, so I will send that out. I've also got another trip coming up to Northern California. I am still taking appointments for that trip. Okay, so that's what I have, and thank you for listening, and also please don't keep me a secret.